It's one thing usually we're never really aware of is when we're going to pass away. Dad called me at the end of winter, 2019, 2020, and said, "Your mom's lost some weight." I said, "What kind of weight, Dad?" And he said, "About maybe 10, maybe 15 pounds." I'm like, "Dad, that's a lot of weight for a woman that size." Just for context, mom was 5'4", 5'5", somewhere in there, and probably never much more than 120 pounds, just to give you an idea of how significant a weight loss that was for a person that size. So I stressed to him how serious that was and how unexplained weight loss is usually a really bad sign of something else. And mom was somebody who resisted the doctor quite a bit. Didn't like going, didn't do physicals, that kind of stuff. So I stressed to Dad, I says, "You got to get her to the doctor and find out what's going on." She doesn't want to go. I'm like, "Yeah, well, if you don't, I'm going to take her." "No, you can't. She can't know that I told you," and blah, blah, blah. I says, "You even got a doctor that lives across the street," which Dr. Ed and his wife Joyce. It's like, "You even got a doctor that lives across the street. Somebody that can help you through this and support you, you know, and be a friend of the family." And so they were able to get mom to go to the doctor, hospital, whatever, get tests, all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, we had COVID. Second week in March of 2020. And you all know what kind of a shit show that was for everybody. If you're in the hospital, only one allowed to be there was staff and patients, that's it. So no friends or family. So mom spent a day of testing, and Dad and Ed and Joy, I don't know if they sat in the car or what they did, because we weren't in a state that was, we live in a state that wasn't, we live in a state that was really shut down. So it's not like they could go hang out somewhere. And the reason I emphasize that is because this hospital is in another town, considerable distance. So they didn't want to drive back and forth. But they wanted to be there to help Dad and be supportive and be there for Mom when she got out. And so then eventually Dad contacts me after they get test results. Or this part of it is really gray for me because only communicating through Dad, who's an emotional wreck, understandably so, going through a lot of stress. So I'm only saying that because if any of these details seem kind of, I think, don't add up or whatever, I was hearing everything only through my dad. I didn't have contact with the doctor, but he said something to me around the lines of stage 4 cancer, lungs. And like I said, I never had a chance to talk to the doctor and get any more details than that. And of course, I struggled with that a little bit because she wasn't a smoker. I mean, I understand you can get lung cancer without smoking, but maybe it metastasized and moved to there. Whatever. At this point, it doesn't matter. But so there's a lot of gray area there for me that I didn't really know all the details. And so then after that diagnosis was given, Mom told Dad, and Dad called me and says she really doesn't want any visitors. And we had resisted seeing her at first because of all the COVID stuff. We don't want to infect our parents because, they're higher risk because of their age group, and don't want to go see them if this, if that, and possibly make them sick in another way, and all the other stuff that was going on at that time, of course. So once we found out she was going to die somewhat soon, And Dad told me she didn't want any visitors. I says, I'm not okay with that. I'm really not. I said, I can't just sit by the phone and wait for you to call me and say she's passed away. I can't do that. And me and my son will come visit every couple days to the best of our ability. And, he kind of resisted. And I says, I get it, but I can't do that. I can't not see my mom again. And I know she may have said that, but I know her as a person. She's probably scared, probably not happy, because who would be? I mean, it's one of our greatest fears is dying. And what's usually tied to that is dying alone. It's like, so I'm getting at is this wasn't so much for my own selfish reasons. I felt that she was owed more than dying alone in her bed in her home at a time when she couldn't even have visitors because of COVID. Her age group was extremely scared of what was going on. And it's like, she's just going to sit in her bed and then pass away on her own. Who would want to live that way? So, and my son had a great relationship with her, and they spent a lot of time together and had a lot of great memories. And so, and he was on board with this. I mean, the world was shut down. I mean, they lived over 2 hours away. So every time we did this, it was a 4-hour drive. So it was a little bit of a commitment for a day. Not that I deserve praise or anything for that, but I'm just giving you the background on it, that it wasn't just run across town 10 minutes away. And that's why we spaced it out every couple days, because you can't just keep running up and down the highway every day. Then it's almost like you might as well just relocate yourself. Anyways, we were trying to be reasonable, but not be whatever, imposing ourselves any more than we thought should be done. But so we started going to visit her every couple days, and a lot of great memories came out of that. And you could see it on her face. You could see it on my son. And you could feel it. I could feel it. They could feel it. Everybody could feel it. My son brought his guitar, played music for her, stuff like that. And she really liked that, liked music, especially music from us, meaning me or my son. She liked the arts, so she liked to see us do creative stuff. And she really appreciated that. We got pictures of my son playing songs for her, sitting next to her bed. And you can see the look on her face that she was, in that moment, she was happy, She was out of her situation and engaged in the moment versus being alone, waiting to die. And the reason behind this video more than anything is it doesn't take that much of you as a person to do that for somebody else and make their life better at their worst possible moment. And I could have respected her wishes at the moment. And she wouldn't have a conversation with me and say that. She wasn't able to. And so that meant, that told me a lot right there too, that it's not what she really wanted. And had we visited the first time and she got extremely upset and, tried to turn us away, I would have accepted that. And then maybe not went back, I'm not sure, but that wasn't the response we got. Quite the opposite. So after that first visit, I knew we were doing the right thing. I didn't doubt myself after that. And so we went every couple days until she passed away. And then Dad called me. I think it was like April 19th at 10 a.m. or so. And I think Dad called me around 10 a.m. on April 19th and said she passed away in bed at their home. So we didn't know she was only going to last 30 days. We had no idea. But I knew we didn't have long. I knew the right thing was not to let her pass away alone in her bed with no visitors. What a horrible thing. I mean, put yourself in their shoes. We're all afraid to die. And we're all afraid to die alone. So, like I said, I have no regrets for that. I know we did the right thing. We brought her peace. And we created new memories. And it taught my son a very important life lesson. You know, not to hide from people that are going through hard times that matter to you. Get involved. Do what you can. You know, how much is it to give your time a little bit and spend time with somebody? It's a pretty easy thing to do. And especially if it's somebody that matters to you, influential on your life, important. You know, think about what they would have done for you and all they've done for you in your life. And the impact, you know. So yeah, we never knew it was going to be 30 days. But I'm glad we took the time and did what we could to visit her as often as we could. And I know she appreciated it. And I knew it was valuable for her. You could see it on her face. Yeah. And then, coincidentally, while making this video, my dad's sister passed away, his last sister. Her name is Jenny. And dad's one of 16, and he's like number 13 on the pecking order. And I think now he's one of 3 from his family that are still alive. I think that leaves Gordon and Palmer, 2 other brothers. Gordon's the baby of the family. He's significantly younger. And then Palmer's, oh my gosh, 93, 94, and Dad's 90. And Dad lives with me now for the last 6 years. And that'll be a different video. We can't add it to this one. So, anyways, count your blessings. Life's a lot shorter than you think, and it moves a lot faster than you want it to. Take some time for those you love. You really don't know how long you have. And our culture isn't as conducive to family as it used to be. It'd be nice to see that change. And that's why I'm sharing this. Try to get us back to focusing on our family and the people that should matter most to us. I know we don't all have perfect relationships with our families. I don't either. But I know enough to do what's right and take the time, do something meaningful, make a difference. So, anyways, hope you're doing well. God bless.